Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi and we are continuing to read Teachings of Lord Caitanya by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So this is chapter 23, Why Study the Vedanta Sutra. That the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is all perfect is confirmed in all Shruti mantras. It is said in the Shruti mantras that the all-perfect Lord glanced over matter and thus created all living beings. The living beings are parts and parcels of the Lord, and He impregnates the vast material nature with the seeds of the spiritual sparks. Thus, the creative energies are set in motion for so many wonderful creations. When one atheist argued that God is no more expert than the manufacturer of a subtle watch that has so many delicate parts, we had to reply that God is a greater mechanic than the watchmaker, because He creates one machine in male and female forms that go on producing innumerable similar machines without the further attention of God. Govinda, Hare Krishna, sorry. Without the further attention of God. If a man could manufacture a set of machines capable of producing other machines without the man giving the matter any further attention, then that man could be said to equal the intelligence of God. But that is not possible. Each and every one of man's imperfect machines has to be handled individually by a mechanic. Because no one can be equal to God in intelligence, another name for God is asamardva, which indicates that no one is equal to or greater than Him. Everyone has his intellectual equal and superior, and no one can claim that he has neither. But this is not the case with the Lord. The Shruti mantras indicate that before the creation of the material universe, there existed the Lord, who is the master of everyone. It was the Lord who instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge. That personality of Godhead has to be obeyed in all respects. Anyone who wants to become freed from material entanglement must surrender unto Him, and this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one surrenders unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, it is sure and certain that one will be bewildered. Even if he happens to be a great mind. Only when great minds surrender unto the lotus feet of Vasudeva and know fully that Vasudeva is the cause of all causes, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.19, can they become Mahatmas, or the truly broad-minded. But such broad-minded Mahatmas are rarely seen. Only they, however, can understand that the Supreme Lord, the Absolute Personality of Godhead, is the primeval cause of all creations. He is the ultimate, Param, truth, because all other truths are dependent on Him. And because He is the source of everyone's knowledge, He is omniscient. There is no illusion for Him, as there is for the relative nowhere. Some Mayavadi scholars argue that Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, and some suggest that the book is a modern creation written by someone named Vopadeva. In order to refute this meaningless argument, Srila Sridhara Swami points out that many of the oldest Puranas make reference to Srimad Bhagavatam. The first shloka or verse of Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri mantra, and there is a reference to this in the Matsya Purana, the oldest Purana. In that Purana, it is said about the Bhagavatam that in it there are many narrations and spiritual instructions, that it begins with the Gayatri mantra, and that it contains the history of Vritrasura. It is also stated that whoever makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains to the highest perfection of life and goes back to Godhead. There is also reference to Srimad Bhagavatam in other Puranas, which even indicate that the work consists of 12 cantos and 18,000 shlokas. In the Padma Purana, there is also a reference to Srimad Bhagavatam during a conversation between Gautama and Maharaja Ambarisha. The king was advised to read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly if he at all desired liberation from material bondage. Jai. Under these circumstances, there is no doubt regarding the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. For the past 500 years, since the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many scholars have made elaborate commentaries upon Srimad Bhagavatam and have displayed unique scholarship. The serious student will do well to attempt to go through these commentaries in order to more happily relish the transcendental messages of the Bhagavatam. In his commentary on the Bhagavatam, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with original and pure sex psychology, adi rasa, devoid of all mundane inebriety. The entire material world turns due to the basic principle of sex life. In modern human civilization, sex is the central point of all activities. Indeed, wherever we turn our face, we see sex life prominent. Thus, sex life is not unreal, but its true reality is experienced in the spiritual world. Material sex is but a perverted reflection of the original. The original is found in the absolute truth. This validates the fact that the absolute truth is personal, for the absolute truth cannot be impersonal and have a sense of pure sex life. The impersonal monist philosophy has given an indirect impetus to abominable, mundane sex because it overly stresses the impersonality of the ultimate truth. The result is that men who lack knowledge have accepted perverted material sex life as all in all because they have no information of the actual spiritual form of sex. There is a distinction between sex in the diseased condition of material life and sex in the spiritual existence. Srimad Bhagavatam gradually elevates the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence, above the three kinds of material activities, namely fruitive actions, speculative philosophy, and worship of functional deities indicated in the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the embodiment of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, and is therefore situated in a position superior to other Vedic literatures. Religion includes four primary subjects. First, pious activities. Second, economic development. Third, satisfaction of the senses. And fourth, liberation from material bondage. Religious life is distinguished from the irreligious life of barbarism. Indeed, it may be said that human life actually begins with religion. The four principles of animal life, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, are common to both the animals and human beings, but religion is the special concern of human beings. Since human life without religion is no better than animal life, in real human society, there is some form of religion aiming at self-realization and referring to one's eternal relationship with God. In the lower stage of human civilization, there's always competition between men in their attempt to dominate material nature. In other words, there is continuous rivalry in an attempt to satisfy the senses. Thus, driven by sense-gratificatory consciousness, men perform religious rituals and pious activities with the aim of acquiring some material gain. But if such material gain is obtainable in another way, the so-called religion is neglected. This can be seen in modern human civilization. Since the economic desires of the people appear to be fulfilled in another way, no one is interested in religion now. The churches, mosques, and temples are practically vacant, for people are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in religious places erected by their forefathers. This definitely proves that religious rituals are generally performed for the sake of economic development, which is needed for sense gratification. And when one is baffled in his attempt to attain sense gratification, he takes to the cause of salvation in order to become one with the Supreme Whole. All these activities arise with the same aim in view: sense gratification. In the Vedas, the four primary subjects mentioned above are prescribed in a regulative way, so that there will not be undue competition for sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratifying activities of the material world. It is a purely transcendental literature, understandable by the devotees of the Lord, who are above the competition for sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animals, between men, between communities, and even between nations in an attempt to gratify the senses. But the devotees of the Lord are above all this. Devotees have no need to compete with materialists because they are on the path back to Godhead, back home, where everything is eternal and fully blissful. Such transcendentalists are 100% non-envious and are therefore pure in heart. Because everyone in the material world is envious, there is competition. But the transcendentalists or devotees of the Lord are not only free from all material envy, but are also kind to everyone in an attempt to establish a competitionless society with God in the center. The socialists' idea of a society devoid of competition is artificial because even in the socialist states there is competition for the post of dictator. Hare Kṛṣṇa. We're going to stop here for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website, shravanamdiaries.com. Read these books along with us. Share them with everyone you know, with all of your friends, and we shall see you next time. Hare Kṛṣṇa.